Patients with incurable conditions can offer to test unlicensed drugs that might help them. It can take up to 15 years for a drug to go from development through to licensed use. Some terminally ill patients say they'd have nothing to lose by testing new medicines sooner. Victoria Cook reports.
Professor Kevin Talbot is director of the Oxford Motor Neuron Disease Care and Research Centre. He's supporting a campaign led by one of his patients, a patient who wants the law changed so the terminally ill are able to test out unlicensed drugs.
This goes against some of the things that we normally do. We believe that very strict, randomised, placebo-controlled trials are the best way to find out whether something works. I think patients such as this are challenging us to think in different ways because that model hasn't really delivered consistently in these very difficult kind of diseases.
Les Halpin is that patient challenging the system. When he was diagnosed with MND, he couldn't believe no new drugs have been developed in 20 years.
If one outcome is do nothing and die, then why not take some action which may very luckily save me or slow things down.
Mark Stone was diagnosed with motor neuron disease last year. He started a new drugs trial today.
If we had a cure, then by nature people would have tried it before, but we don't. So at some stage somebody is going to have to put their hand up and say, yes, I will try this, and that's what I'm prepared to do. I don't see it as being a guinea pig in any way at all.
The government says it's doing everything it can to make access to new medicines easier and faster. It says a consultation's already underway so that patients would be able to access new drugs a year before they're licensed.
For those involved, this campaign isn't just about saving lives now, but saving lives of generations to come. Victoria Cook, BBC South Today.
Well, Kate Law is Director of Clinical Research at Cancer Research. Earlier I asked whether it was right to call for drug testing rules to be relaxed.
Well, it's always helpful to have a debate around these issues, but they are quite complex, I think. The idea that patients who are actually really rather ill with maybe not too long to live can access any medication, I think does need further discussion, certainly around the cancer arena, where cancer drugs tend in general to be extremely toxic, and we have to be careful even in people who are relatively fit and healthy. For instance, if their renal function is poor or their liver function is poor, then it's likely to end their lives rather than prolonging it. So I think it really does have to be taken case by case.
But should terminally ill people be allowed to take those risks if they want to?
I think terminally ill people can be extremely vulnerable, and I think having confidence in your doctor to have those kind of discussions. But I would say that you know, I don't think most people who want to take that risk in the knowledge that it's more likely to kill them than to help them have a few extra months really would want to do that.
But do you think a cure for cancer or cures for cancers could be found faster if the laws were relaxed?
I actually think the reverse could possibly happen, because if you consider that these people are already very ill, their bodily functions, their organs are not functioning optimally, it could actually give you a misleading view of a drug. Let's say that half the people who took it died within 3 weeks. Does that tell you you've got a successful drug or an unsuccessful drug? You're not actually going to know, because the people who could tolerate it better might actually do well on that drug. So I think there's a risk of missing good drugs by taking this point of view, actually.
Just finally, Kate, and briefly if you can, what role does Cancer Research play in all of this?
Well, Cancer Research UK is the major funder of academic trials in the UK, and cancer trials actually lead the way in the world, funded by the charity, with 20% of patients going on to trials jointly funded by the Department of Health and by Cancer Research UK. So actually 1 in 5 patients do get the chance to try novel therapies.
Kate Law, thanks very much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you.